I wish you could meet these people. Maybe, hopefully someday, you will. February 8th, 2003. I got a number of very thoughtful responses to the email I sent last night, most of which I don't have time to respond to right now. Thanks, everyone, for the encouragement, questions, criticism. Daniel's response was particularly inspiring to me and deserves to be shared. The resistance of Israeli Jewish people to the occupation and the enormous risk taken by those refusing to serve in the Israeli military offers an example, especially for those of us living in the United States, of how to behave when you discover that atrocities are being committed in your name. February 20th, 2003. Mama. Now the Israeli army has actually dug up the road to Gaza, and both of the major checkpoints are closed. This means that Palestinians who want to go and register for their next quarter at university can't. People can't get to their jobs, and those who are trapped on the other side, they can't get home. And internationals who have a meeting tomorrow in the West Bank won't make it. We could probably make it through if we made some serious use of our international white person privilege, but that would also mean some risk of arrest and deportation, even though none of us has done anything illegal. The Gaza Strip is divided in thirds now. There's some talk about the reoccupation of Gaza, but I seriously doubt this will happen because it would be a geopolitically stupid move for Israel right now. I think the more likely thing is an increase in smaller, below the international outcry, raider incursions, and possibly the oft-hinted population transfer. I'm staying put in Rafah for now, no plans to head north. I still feel like I'm relatively safe and think that most likely risk in case of a large-scale incursion is arrest. A move to reoccupy Gaza would generate a much larger outcry than Sharon's assassination during peace negotiations / land grab strategy, which is working very well now to create settlements all over, slowly but surely eliminating any meaningful possibility for Palestinian self-determination. February 27, 2003. I love you. I really miss you. I have bad nightmares about tanks and bulldozers outside our house and you and me inside. Sometimes the adrenaline acts as an anesthetic for weeks, and then in the evening or at night it just hits me again. A little bit of the reality of the situation. I'm really scared for the people here. Yesterday I watched a father lead his 2 tiny children holding his hands out into the sight of tanks and a sniper tower and bulldozers and jeeps because he thought his house was going to be exploded. Jenny and I stayed in the house with several women and 2 small babies. It was our mistaken translation that caused him to think it was his house that was being exploded. In fact, the Israeli army was in the process of detonating an explosive in the ground nearby, one that appears to have been planted by Palestinian resistance. This is the area where Sunday about 150 men were rounded up and contained outside the settlement with gunfire over their heads and around them, while tanks and bulldozers destroyed 25 greenhouses, the livelihoods for 300 people. The explosive was right in front of the greenhouses, right in the point of entry for tanks that might come back again. I was terrified to think that this man felt it was less of a risk to walk out and view the tanks with his kids than to stay in his house. I was really scared that they were all going to be shot, and I tried to stand between them and the tank. This happens every day, but just this father walking out with his 2 little kids just looking very sad. It just happened to get my attention at this particular moment. Probably because I felt it was our translation problems that made him leave. The count of homes destroyed in Rafah since the beginning of this intifada is up around 600. By and large, people with no connection to the resistance, but just happen to live along the border. I think it is maybe official now that Rafah is the poorest place in the world. There used to be a middle class here recently. We also get reports that In the past, Gazan flour shipments to Europe were delayed for 2 weeks at the Erez crossing for security inspections. You can imagine the value of 2-week-old cut flowers in the European market. So that dried up. And then the bulldozers come and take out people's vegetable farms and gardens. What is left for people? Tell me if you can think of anything. I can't.